Somehow held and slipped away. One street over where my memories exist. I wondered what would change. I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known, who would have kept me from the one I had today. Except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known, would have kept me from what I had today. Everywhere I could have ended up just like that broken road, with a dead end in my path. Thank the Lord that
hey y'all, let's just get on into this thing. How you doing? This is 1100 WSGI, and I just realized the mics are up, and we're just like, oh my gosh, we're not supposed to be hearing what we're talking about off mic. Oh my goodness, what happened with that? Can everybody hear us now? Y'all let me know. That's crazy. None of the microphones were turned up, Jamie. This is nuts. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn you up. You with me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Oh my gosh, that was
talking
weird.
About you being late. So.
Yeah, we're talking about me being late and how crazy it is, and I need to be more on time. And hi, y'all. I hope we didn't say anything wrong.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so, but well, no, well, we just won't even go there. The things we were talking about, I think if anybody, they're all just laughing. They're like, that just made my day. That was funny. That was funny. I don't know. Okay. Hi, y'all. Good morning. It's Monday. We got to figure out why that mic was hot whenever it's not supposed to be. We have a new control board in here. Can you tell? Jamie Nixon's in the house. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing good, except for that very big embarrassment. All right. Yes, I'm an audio video teacher. That's the hard thing. And I just continue to remind everybody, I've been the talent my whole career. People just showed me what button to push, you know? I'm just saying. I had a lot of great engineers around me, and so they go, Laverne, just push that. Just push that. And Anna Luke is on here, and she says, y'all didn't say anything wrong. But anyway, we should have, so the sound's not on the phone. Okay. So that's what he's saying. Go over there and push those connectors in. So that's what I'm getting from Paul, is that we're hearing the room sound from when I turn the it just be on my phone. So let me know if you're getting sound now there, Paul, because that should be working now. But I don't know. So y'all let me know if we're getting sound on the social media or if we're just getting room sound still. Because apparently what was going out over the air was just fine. And let me check everything over here and see if, you know what it is. They may have unplugged me over here in the board. Do me a favor, trace that cord that comes in here. We're going to figure this out. We're going to figure this thing out. I tell you what, let's take a quick break with Barry and Rebecca Richards, and we'll be back in just a moment. If you're needing help in the real estate community, whether it's buying or selling, maybe you want to be a realtor, my friends Mary and Rebecca Richards are there to help you. No matter what side of the table you're sitting on, or if you want to come in and you need to be mentored by somebody, they are a great team to work with, the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. Barry and Rebecca, they've been at this a long time. Barry has a marketing background, which makes it extra special when he comes to help you, because if you've got property that maybe people are not really taking a good look at, you may need some new pictures, you may need some drone footage, or just some kind of videography done to make sure your property pops when people go to see it. Rebecca, one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. That means she's studying to make sure she's got everything covered for you. They specialize in Robertson County properties, but also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. Talk to them today, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. And as always, please let them know U-Turn sent you. Okay, we're back. Oh my goodness, it's Monday. So all of that was to say that all the things that were going on the regular airways were just fine. It's what was going on social media. If somehow or another, what we have, the line going into our social media feed had gotten pulled, but we're good now. Thank you, Paul Rainey. He's my tech. He gets on here every morning with me, and he's my technical advisor. So. Hi, y'all. There's another reason why I need to be on time. If you were listening to us talk off mic, it's if I were a little more punctual, I could be troubleshooting all that stuff, and he'll use like, yep. Jamie Nixon's in the house, and we're going to talk sports this morning. This is the first Monday of the month, and this is the time when we want to invite others in. Jamie comes in very, very loyally, and we appreciate him so much for bringing this to the table. It is such a good opportunity for us to feature our kiddos that are out there doing so much to promote the things that they do athletically. And we appreciate that. But, man, we need to hear from all the other schools. He's all things East Robertson, but now he taps into all the other things, too. What about Blaine? What's going on with him? Is he going to be coming in?
Yeah, he's going to be coming in. He's just trying to get his new position and everything.
Okay.
By the way, I mean, if you want a lot of great information, follow Blaine on Twitter. And I was actually looking at his Twitter right now, and it's at sports_BK. On Twitter, and Blaine does a great job because now he's not just focusing on really everything kind of Robertson County. He's taking a bigger position. Actually, it was like personal news. I've accepted the role of Sumner County sports editor with Main Street Preps. I'll be in charge of covering the sports for Gallatin News, Hendersonville Standard, and Portland Sun, while he's also over the stuff because he still covered, Elijah Groves from East Robertson for football was visiting the University of Memphis this past week, so he covered that. He's also got a post in there. About Maplewood, which is a Davidson County school.
Okay.
So Blaine is a plethora of information when it comes to high school sports.
Right.
Then he's got some Gallatin stuff, some station camp stuff, but he's also got, I was going to let everybody know that he has the link in there to go see the Robertson County basketball teams, the all-county basketball teams. I will give you a little bit of a spoiler alert. Player of the year is Elijah Groves from East Robertson. Defensive player of the year, Nolan Carson from your Greenbrier Bobcats. Yep. Coach of the year was Kurt Caton from East Robertson. And team of the year was Greenbrier.
Whoa, how about that? Outstanding. I'm so excited to hear that. So, and I just love how he covers it. But now I want you to confuse me a little bit. Is he stepping over to Sumner and out of Robertson?
I don't think so because he's still covering it. I think he's still over a lot of that. So we'll get some clarification from him.
Okay. And this is all with Main Street News. And my friend Devin O'Day does a bunch of stuff with them. And there's just a lot of people that, and she covers all areas too. So they've got all kinds of folks that work with them that bring us the county news in this area. And they do a great job of it. Just can't say enough about being able to see, I took Melvis Lopez, his picture in the paper. And he's like, oh, thank you, Miss Vivio. And maybe he's gotten 10 of them. I don't know. But it's still cool. It is still cool. But we just appreciate so much your work that you do to promote Robertson County sports. And have you gotten out to India? So we're into baseball. The baseball, I know we had some baseball and softball, and soccer. Some things. I know we've got a game this afternoon because my sweet friend, the coach, Miss Howard, she is like, I need somebody to watch the gate. And so that's one thing with the things like soccer and the sports maybe that people are not as on fire to attend, we got to have you help with it. And I even asked my husband, I said something about, so could I do the gate? And he goes, no, because we've got this, this, and this, 'cause I even asked him that yesterday. So I'm sure somebody will step up, but we need people in all these different respects, in all these different sports, just like we do for football and basketball, so what say you?
Well, we still live in a world where soccer is over the last decade, 2 decades, has just really gained a lot of ground. I know that my daughter playing soccer, I didn't know anything about soccer until
Me
my daughter
either.
started playing, and then once she started playing in high school, it just became one of those things that we loved. But you see, the majority of the people at the soccer games are parents or family members of the players. It's not a highly attended sport. The same thing with track and field. Track and field's kind of spread all out. A lot of things are happening all at once. So it's one of those things, making sure I don't take anything away from these student athletes because they're all great. But sometimes some things are hard to watch, or sometimes you just can't get to everything, trying to keep up with schedules. And then just history.
Yeah.
The history of sports, which I call the big three: football, basketball, and baseball. And you can throw softball in there as well. Those were what basically all the schools have. And then you throw in volleyball was probably the next sport. Volleyball and wrestling were the next 2 sports that came on. And then, like golf has been around for a long time, and it's really hard to go watch golf matches. I mean, it's virtually impossible. You can stand there at the turn, or you can stand at a hole but you can't really. Back when I played, you couldn't walk with the players. You might be able to do that now. High school golf, the players still walk the course and carry their bags, and they don't use carts. Well, that would be so bad if they allowed high school kids to drive carts.
I wonder if their parents can get in the golf cart and go, honey, and I don't know, and follow them around. I don't know. I know nothing about golf. I'm just absolutely nothing about it. Well, see, and then we've got bowling. I've got some friends that kids did a lot of bowling over, not in White House, but not at White House Heritage, over on the other side, on Sumter County side. And so we heard a lot about bowling. And so I know, do we have bowling teams here?
That's a good question, I guess. And if I'm going to come here and talk about Robertson County sports, that might be my assignment before next Thursday, is to find out the sports. But yes, you are correct. I said correct, like that's correct and right at the same time.
There you go. It's a new word.
You are correct. The Blue Devils have had a good run. That they have some consistency at winning there in bowling. So, certain schools have picked it up. It really comes down to coaching and getting kids involved in it. So I will tell you some good news, and this is one of our pleas has been heard and acted upon. Rich Lopez has agreed to come in, pick like a second Thursday. We're going to iron that out, and he's going to come in and he's going to talk heritage.
Awesome.
So really pumped about Rich coming in to do that.
We need the sports dweebs, right,
Yep.
from Springfield.
Well, Terrence, some of the, I would love for Terrence to be able to join me. I think Terrence actually, his full-time job, kind of keeps him from being here in the mornings. But really just anybody that could still completely supply us with some information would be awesome. They don't, would we want them to come on here? Yes, 100%. They might not be able to, but just be able to, send us a message here on your page and let them get, and if you can, just connect them, me and them together, then I'll work all that out.
And they can call in. They do not have to physically be in here. We can, we do a lot of phone interviews now, and it works well. We just have to coordinate that, but you're welcome if you're maybe on the commute. I've talked to a lot of people that are commuting to their job, and so we'll get them on the phone and we'll do that. So
I need to let Terrence know
Yes.
that. Terrence, it was really cool. I talked to Terrence the other day, and I believe next year for the football jamboree, normally what I have done is just broadcasted the East portion of the jamboree. I believe next year we're going to broadcast the entire jamboree football, which used to be called the Robertson County Football Jamboree. There's definitely a lot of Robertson County teams in it, but there's also some outside Robertson County teams. It is now officially being named the Erie Insurance Jamboree.
Oh, cool.
Insurance company there out of Cross Plains who has sponsored it. And so that thing is growing. It looks like 615 Preps might be up there as well. There's some couple things that's happening to bring more attention to our area. So we're really pumped about that.
Okay, very good. So a lot of things going on, and I love that idea. And also, too, it's just something as you were talking about jamborees and things like that. We talked a lot about the softball home run derby. Is that what you called it? And that's kind of, to me, one of those kickoff things. Did that happen, or did I
It
completely?
has not happened yet.
It hasn't. Okay. What is that slated still to happen? Is it on the calendar?
It is on the calendar. I'm trying to look that up right now. And
Because I think that sounds like a fun time. And that was one that they have, I don't know. It seems like we were talking about how it was only just there were some limits on it, then they're opening it up and more are going to participate. But it just sounds like a cool thing. And basically it's just whoever can pop the most home runs, I'm thinking, wins the home run derby. But it's just a fun little exhibition. I love those things because it gives a chance for you to just kind of get fired up and kind of see what's going on. And of course, the season's already started, but definitely something to get a new fire going for it.
Yep.
So do you have a date?
Actually, I don't have the date, so I just texted Coach.
Okay.
And we'll see if he answers me.
Is that done at East Robertson? Mm-hmm. Okay, but who is invited to that?
It was okay. So they have like a little tournament that happens that day, kind of a round robin kind of thing that happens for a couple days. And any of the girls that are inside that tournament, we try to make it all Robertson County teams.
Okay.
There was last year, I believe, there was a girl in there, and I'm going to say something wrong. Either Lebanon or Watertown, one also came out and played. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll let I will.
We'll figure that out.
Can't figure it out. We'll
just
definitely
all kinds of
Thursday.
things, and we
I know it's not from now until Thursday, so we can definitely talk.
Yeah.
about it.
We'll talk about it on Thursday, but we're talking first Monday of the month is when we just want to talk about Robertson County sports. If you have anything you want to bring to the table, by all means do that. If you have some comments, some info that we could use, we would appreciate that. And then on Thursday morning, 7 to 7:30, that's when we look at sports. That's the one thing that's really been missing from One Street Over is really tapping into what's going on in our school systems. And just now that I'm a teacher, it is a good place to land with all this. I need to get Coach Howard in here from Greenbrier to talk about our soccer for the boys. How many games are we in? Have you followed soccer at all to know how the teams are doing?
Well, I do know that like I said, we said the other day, baseball heritage was 8-1. I think.
Yeah.
Soccer and baseball, they kind of have the similar schedules. I think they're about all 10 games in, 8 to 9,
Wow.
somewhere like that. Yeah.
How long does the season run? Do you know that?
It's done before schools, pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
Unless they go to extra, unless
Yeah.
they go to the state tournament.
Okay.
So
Yeah, man, I'm
so
telling
school's
you.
close to being over. We're already looking at proms, right?
Yeah.
It's prom time.
Yeah.
Then it's going to be graduation time.
That blows my mind, guys. I truly, I mean, this time last year, I was just, being tapped to say, hey, you want to do this? And then now I'm about to finish my first year of school. I'm just blown away. And I was telling the students the other day, trying to get an idea of how we're going to unpack the rest of the year and the things we want to do. So much we want to do with audio, video, and it's just trying to get all the pieces in place. And we've still got some production things we're going to work on, but just getting everything in place has been the big objective. But in my other classes, I've laid it all out. We're going to get this done, and by this time, my seniors are going to be checked out. And I've got one class got probably 5 or 6 seniors in it. One that's just got a couple, but just trying to keep them on task and saying, let's get this done. Got a couple of kids that have been out for medical reasons. I got to catch up. Yes, Blaze, I'm talking about you. Just things like that. We got to get these things done because we're coming up on the end of it. So man. Going fast.
Gotcha. I was going to ask you something. Do you care if we just switch gears a little bit? Because I want to talk about something that does translate to our high school sports, but something happened last night. Have you happened to see the news or anything or watched any of the girls' championship game last night between Iowa and LSU?
No, not at all.
All right. So there's a girl from Iowa named Caitlin Clark. And
Okay.
This tournament, she has put on an exhibition this whole season. I mean, she has been phenomenal. As far as the girls' basketball, I mean, she pulls up deep, like way behind the three-point line. Great heady player, really good. I mean, just really good. and they got beat last night by LSU in the Final Four in the championship game. And so Caitlin has this, and this is kind of controversial. It's been controversial all last night, controversial this morning, and I kind of want to bring it up, not to be controversial, but to find out why. Like, what are we looking at? Because it trickles down to high school kids.
Oh yeah,
things from professional sports to college, then to high school kids, then to our junior pro programs. So there is a gamesmanship, a sportsmanship. I do believe there is a healthy way of what some people call talking trash. But, when you're a competitor, you want to be the best.
Right.
Sometimes people would say, like, when you would score a touchdown, they would watch people like Barry Sanders a long time ago, just hand the ball to the ref, act like you've been there, right?
Yeah.
That type of thing. Well, there are players like that do it completely great. And then there's players who are the extremists that let everybody in the world, let's say a Deion Sanders, lets everybody know how great they are. Most people fall in somewhere in between there. Maybe they're humble. Sometimes they, get a little riled up and they get a little, not showy, but, you seem to talk a little bit in competition. Your passion gets, everything gets running high, emotions running high. Well, Caitlin, all during the year, she started doing this thing and the waving in front of her face, and it's the "you can't see me." Like, hey, you're so good, you can't see me. You can't guard me. It's like it's just a gesture.
Okay.
So she was being playful with it. Well, it got to the point where she did it all the time. That's going to make somebody mad at some point.
Oh
right?
yeah.
So the tables were turned last night. Officiating, what I've heard this morning, and why did I watch the game, and everybody's like, well, officiating is horrible because they called this technical on Caitlin Clark for throwing the ball behind her back out of bounds. But then the girl from LSU at the end of the game was doing that, basically followed Caitlin around and did that back to her. And then when she knew she was winning the game, she was then pointing at her finger like, hey, I'm about to get my ring. I'm about to get the championship.
Oh. And this was the opponent to Caitlin.
Yeah.
Just taunting her.
Yes. Well, so.
Eh.
Yeah. To me, it's kind of like, I bet you if you ask Caitlin.
Yeah.
This is what's crazy is all the people that are in an uproar about it. If you ask Caitlin's like, hey, you can't dish it out. If I can't take, and so, but it has blown my mind how many people, it's always the person who takes it one step further, right?
Yeah.
That you don't like, that you speak out against.
Yeah.
But you never say anything about the person who did it consistent and that next step. So it's no different than when we get into a gymnasium or a baseball field or a football field and we consistently rag on coaches or officials. Nobody cares about that. They care about that one person who maybe took it just a tad bit far, so both of them are wrong.
Yeah.
Both of them are wrong.
Yeah.
And we have to be that's where we are in a society, is that we are not willing to accept I was wrong. We're not willing to accept this person was wrong, even though they did the same thing. One person's transgression is not worse than another person's.
Right. Two wrongs don't make a right.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard for us just to point out in society when somebody is more wrong than the other. And what has happened is that it just so happens the girl from LSU, Reese, is African-American and Caitlin's not. So once again, it's allowed the media, and I know you're the media, it allows the media that analogy. If you put 100 black ants into a jar and 100 red ants in a jar, they won't fight. But if you shake the jar, they're going to think each other are the enemies.
Yeah.
The ants aren't mad at each other. I mean, they shouldn't be mad at each other. They should be mad at the person shaking the jar.
Yeah.
Now, I'm bringing up a political stance right now, but at the same time, when it comes time to our student athletes, we have to make sure that us as parents, because we're the ones that sometimes shakes the jar. Spectators shake the jar.
Oh, yeah.
Let players play.
Leave them alone.
Let coaches coach. Let officials official. And guess what? At the end of the day, we are not talking about life or death. And if your child is good, If your child is good, some of you guys need to hear this. Colleges will find them. If they're not good, they don't play at the next level. Not everybody shouldn't get a trophy.
Amen.
Everybody shouldn't get a college scholarship. Everybody shouldn't get a spot on a team. There is a certain level that you have to achieve. And if kids can learn that now, that's going to make them better citizens.
Amen and amen. What he said.
So if you can't support coaches, if you can't support teachers, if you can't support administration, county, superintendent, if you can't be a support system, and because believe me, your little Johnny is not, he might be sweet around you, but he's not always sweet at school.
Amen.
If we don't, we're going to see the education system. We're going to see people stop wanting to be teachers. We're going to see people stop. We're already seeing people not wanting to be officials.
Oh, yeah.
We already moved football games. Every team in the state of Tennessee has to play a football game on Thursday. Some schools are being asked to play 2 because of a shortage of football officials. And football officials are further away from the crowd than anybody. And so we're living in a time where we as fans, we sat back and watched the TV last night and we formulated opinion the entire year, especially the tournament, of Caitlin Clark, great player, probably she's a great competitor, probably a great person, loves her sport. But we formulate an opinion and we were cheering her on. But then when somebody did exactly what she did back to her, then we made it about race. We made it about upbringing. We made it about everything else than what it was, and was true competition. And I've been a part of games where I thought officiating was sometimes, guess what, guys have bad days. Caitlin takes that ball and throws it behind her back. She gets a technical. Everybody wants to know why what Reese did wasn't a technical. Sometimes you don't see it. Sometimes you don't think it's that big. Sometimes you're looking at, well, you've been doing that the whole tournament. This is just you guys going at it.
Yeah.
Do not put yourself in situations to have to deal with the consequences. And somebody had spliced together a tape of Caitlin consistently taking a ball after a made basket and throwing it away. Like, just, it's a slight gesture of like, she didn't like the call.
Yeah.
And a referee saw it and gave her technical for it.
Yeah, so it just is one of those things that she knew she could get it for it, and she got it at a crucial moment. And no, I haven't seen any of that. So do you think this is going to blow over? Do you think this is going to be made into something? Or, when anytime this racial stuff comes up, it just, it makes me sick. And I'm from a biracial family. I have a 40-something-year-old half-black nephew. We've been dealing with this since 79, y'all. Get over it. It's so funny. My nephew Joshua, they lived up north for a while because of the racial tension. And when they came home, it was about the time that he was going into kindergarten. And it was just so stinking funny when he comes home one day and he looks at my sister and he goes, "I'm black." And she goes, "No." And it was just so funny because we raised, because being from a biracial family, we just didn't raise our families to see color. Same thing happened with my twins. When they went to school, they're like, "Josh is black." It's like, because they weren't raised that he was any different. He was just their cousin, And it took going to school and being told that there's, kids don't notice that unless you teach it, y'all. And so, cut it out, man.
Well, when you go to elementary school, like when you're a kid, you don't see it. You're looking for friends.
Yeah.
Like if you put 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds around each other, they're going to be friends. And it's not till later on that they're taught something's different or something's wrong. And I would say this, and I understand what you was trying to say when you said you don't see color. And I just want to tell you a really quick story. In 1992, state championship game. I walk out on the court. It's East Robinson versus Middleton. And I tell this story a lot because something happened about a year ago. I had gotten my VHS tape put onto a DVD and onto a thumb drive. And I'm showing it to one of my friends. And the camera is, the team's walked out. We're about to jump the ball.
Uh-huh.
And my friend goes, "Which one are you?" I'm like, "I'm the only white dude on the court." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, okay. All right." I say, "Yeah." So with that, I've said this many times. I said, when people say I don't see color, I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
But here's what I want to say about it. I see color. You do see, everybody sees it. Mm-hmm. You do see it. I just make a decision to not make it a difference in how I act.
Mm-hmm. I see you're defining it a little differently.
Yeah.
When I say it's a rhetorical, I don't see color because I don't see any difference in color.
Yes.
And I do have an awful lot of friends from other countries, and I truly, man, I just and having had this in my life since high school, you really just don't think about it. I don't walk into a classroom and evaluate the ratios ever.
Mm-hmm. I know.
And so
and now, man, we could go on for this forever because all of this now, some people might be sitting out there goes, how does this affect sports? The things we're going through affects everything that we do.
Yeah.
Whether you're in the band, whether you're trying to write for a publication, because now as teachers, I can only imagine the struggle, and I'm really trying to bring light to what's going on in our schools. What I see, a lot of great things going on in our schools, but as a teacher, as an educator, you can't factor in race. You can't factor in what kids now identify, with. And so I'm trying to be, and this is all new stuff to me. So if I say anything wrong, please, don't come at me or come at Laverne and her show. But you still, this stuff all trickles down to affect us in some way that I just believe God never intended it. And,
agreed.
And I just 100% believe that this is how the devil, who comes, like the thief of the night, who comes alive, and kill and destroy, and
prowling.
And he's using every single crack in who we are, to attack us.
Yes.
And we have to fill those cracks with love. Mm-hmm. We have to stop being a people of knowing, everybody knows what we're against as Christians. Mm-hmm. It's time for people to start knowing what we're for. And what we're for is love.
Yes.
And so when people look, and I bring that up, when people bring up this situation with this LSU girl and this Iowa girl, just love the fact that women's college basketball was amazing this year.
Yeah.
Okay, so some things happened that we didn't like. Mm-hmm. Let it go.
Yeah. Because
the bigger plan, the bigger concept here is that tournament was packed. All eyes were on Caitlin Clark, who was scoring points at will, and everybody was like waiting for her to win this championship. And LSU has a phenomenal team.
Yeah. They
were the better team. And Caitlin's a junior. She gets to come back next year. Mm-hmm. Caitlin's got up in Iowa, she has her NIL deals. She's making money as a college student.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, she's getting an education. She's competing. Did she win a national championship? I know that's the dream of everybody's. She was there. Mm-hmm. And she did her best to get there. And because she changed, do you think that she wants to change some things from last night? Of course. But what happens is when we as the people who aren't coaching the game, playing the game, or officiating the game, interject ourselves into a game when it's really none of our business but to be fans.
Yeah. I love that. And I love what you said. There's Paul Rainey has got a couple of comments on there I want you to look at and see if you want to comment on them. But something you said, and this is something that I got from some of my Bible study. There is a quote, and I wish I could source it exactly, but there was a like a Jewish leader during the World War II, who is noted as saying, "Beware of any Christian who spends more time telling you what they're against rather than what they're for." And I think that's just such a profound thing, because if I tell you what I'm for, you're going to know what I'm against, and I'm going to love you anyway. And I mean, I think we get so nervous about all this just all the things I'm having to deal with kids that are obviously got some stuff going on. I just love them. I just love them. I don't judge them. I love them. I don't judge them. I just love them. Anybody that I have a difference with, I just love you. And I'm just going to keep doing it. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and do a break.
Okay. All right.
Maybe we'll come back and revisit some of this. But talking about, I kind of had a feeling this is what's going to happen, Jamie, because you and I can talk about all kinds of stuff. And I appreciate it so much, because that's where my head goes to. But we're going to talk about Cumberland Connect. My friends over at Cumberland Connect, if you want great internet, it's so nice. It's so nice to have a gig. It is one of those things. I had just really gotten used to having terrible internet. Well, you don't have to anymore, because internet's a utility. They realize that now, just as our phone lines were. Now people make internet phone. First time I had to get used to making phone calls on the internet. I was talking about some of my friends, from different countries, my friends that are Egyptian. When I first got to know them, they would call me on Facebook Messenger, because that's how they call their friends back in Egypt. And it's so cool, because people realize you can make, my point of that, a lot of people are using their internet for their phone line. My cell phone, I do internet, I enable my internet to help boost my cell phone, because if I'm just trying to use my cell phone down in the holla, it's terrible. So people are seeing that they can use their internet as they did their phone line. It's pretty much replacing the phone lines, your internet service, so it's a utility. They realize that, and so they're wanting to help you make sure you can afford it. If you're somebody that's struggling financially, well, their Affordable Connectivity Program can provide qualifying households with monthly credit to help pay for internet services. And if you're eligible, you can receive a credit of up to $30 per month toward broadband service. And all you got to do is just check that out. You can go to cumberlandconnect.org, cumberlandconnect.org, or you can call them at 1-800-987-2362, 1-800-987-2362 if you're a Cumberland Electric customer. That's the key. Got to be a Cumberland Electric customer to get Cumberland Connect. Cumberland Connect is powered by CEMC, and if they're not in your neighborhood, they will be soon. And when they come knocking on your door, please let them know that U-Turn sent you. I'm going to continue talking with my friend Jamie Nixon. He's in the house. We're talking all things sports, and not just, who won this game and who won that game, but the implications of good sportsmanship and doing the right thing always. And just, I did not realize what had happened. And, that sounds like something to me that hopefully will blow over. What do you think? I mean, do you think they're going to take it for all it's worth?
Well, and as one of our watchers was talking about the Memphis game along with Bowling Green, that there was, where there was a punch thrown. The girls had exchanged words in the line, and it stems over from the game. Yeah, it stems over from and there's a lot of factors. Officiating could have let some things go, and you still gotta realize that even grown adults, when you have a sport where you're constantly touching, and and you're that close where you can say things, you're going to have some altercations. And earlier this year, about a month ago, 8 people were ejected in the Florida-Kentucky women's game, and then there was another game where the two lines go to meet, and one of the girls stopped somebody and said something to the girl. And gosh, I wish I could figure out, remember this girl's name at the time, but she listens to her and she's like that, and she shrugs her off and just keeps on walking. Yeah. So you have some really great examples of what to do and what not to do. Yeah. All of this, I hate to say it, all of it comes down to how they're being parented at home. Oh, yeah. Coaches get a certain amount of time with them, but when parents, and I know I'm beating up on parents, but hey, I was a parent once for a sporting athlete and of a high school athlete, college athlete, and I remember my son coming home and saying something. I was like, "He's your coach. He makes the rules. It's his team." I'll never forget being in high school, and there was we were playing and during the season, and coach had a practice, and he said, "I know some of you guys are listening to your parents, I even watch it during the game. Your parents yelling, shoot, and then you shoot the ball. He goes, and it's not part of our game plan. And he says, hey, if you want to go play for your parents, go play for your parents. And then he goes, oh, they're not a coach of a high school team. Mm-hmm. That put a lot of stuff in perspective. That was very impressionable for like that, because it's like, it doesn't matter what my mom told me to do. It doesn't, at the end of the day, I respected the coach that I had. And if I wanted to play that sport, you go by those rules, by those guidelines, that game plan, that strategy. And, it's just what we need. It's what our players need too. And, I know we can sit here and tell a lot about life stories. My son who played, so I played my high school career at East Robinson, but my two kids played at White House. Their mother went to White House. We just happened to raise them over there, and they played for the Blue Devils. Well, my son, after he's a sophomore quarterback, starting quarterback, and White House was having the worst season ever. It was actually their worst season ever under Coach Porter. They didn't win a game. They went 0-10. And I believe it was after the 7th game, they were 0-7. And I used to, we would get on huddle the next day, and I would watch film with my son trying to help him get better.
Right.
Now I enjoyed it, but at the same time, it was like, hey, you see this, you could have done this, you could have done this. And so here's my son he's just barely 15, sophomore starting quarterback. And he knows that we're not very good this year. We're not very good. And I'll never forget him looking at me one Saturday and go, Dad, I don't need another coach. I need a dad. And from that point on, it was more about, hey, good job. Go get them next time. Good job. Let's go celebrate. Hey, I'm proud of you.
Yep.
No matter what, I'm proud of you.
Yep.
And he went on, and I know that he wasn't a Division I athlete. He went on to NAIA school, played backup quarterback. They won a national championship. And they went from being in high school, they went from 0-10 to the next year being 10-0. First time that's ever been done in Tennessee. And I thought,
that's awesome.
I was super proud, right?
Right.
Super proud. In the last year of his life now, at 21, he bought a house. Mm-hmm. He's helping run a very successful 25-year roofing business after, leaving college. He got married. Mm-hmm. I'm more proud of him for that than I am anything he ever done on a football field. Mm-hmm. And sometimes your kid, they need you as a parent. They don't need you as a coach. They don't need you as a friend. They need you to be a parent. Mm-hmm. And when I say be a parent, that doesn't mean they need you to be their savior. You ain't got to run and save them. You ain't got to go take up for them. The coaches aren't beating them. The coaches aren't doing anything unfairly. The coaches are trying to discipline to make them better young men and women. Let the coaches coach. No matter if you do. Half the time when we disagree with coaches or teachers, we disagree on their philosophy of how they're doing something. Well, the last time I checked, I don't care if you did go play college sports or even professional sports. Just because you did that doesn't make you a great coach. Mm-hmm. If being the greatest basketball player in the world made you a great basketball coach, then Michael Jordan should be coaching. But Michael Jordan says, there's no way I could be a coach. Mm-hmm. So at some point as parents, we need to support our student athletes, be their parent, sit in the stands, and shut up.
And encourage them. Just encourage them. And teach them to respect their coaches too. And I'm just, so much of what you said echoes back into our experiences as well. So very well said, my friend. Very well said.
I wish your husband could find a way to make sure that we could take school buses again to all games.
Yeah.
Because somebody told me that this year. He said, because I know you probably remember this, when you went and played a high school game and then you had to ride the school bus back, right?
Yeah.
How many coaches, how many teams are saved? And I've never thought about this. How many teams are saved because of the bus ride back home.
You bet.
Because those kids don't ride back home with their parents.
Yep.
And their parents are driving the whole time. Well, your coach did this, or
Yep.
y'all should be doing this, and y'all should be doing this. And kids, and how many student athletes are getting tore down?
Mm-hmm.
Not just coaches getting tore down. How many parents are tearing down their own kids?
Yep.
Saying, well, you didn't do this, you didn't play well here, you didn't like
Mm-hmm.
that. Hey, and unfortunately, we need to raise this next generation to be resilient, to be tough, but we have to encourage them. We can't be their safety net. We need to let them fail. We need to let them understand that in life, you're not going to be able to win every game. You're not going to get every job promotion, just like you're not going to be an all-county player, all-state player, and your team's not going to win every game.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And I'll tell you, Mark has said the same thing about the buses and how they need to be on the buses, but that's a staffing thing. And of
It
course, that's a
is.
Mr. Heinerman thing too. That's the director's, because Mark's a safety guy. But,
Gotcha.
but Mark could be, I know there's a lot of those guys. If they could get enough people to drive, I think they'd be all for it. But again, that's a Mr. Heinerman question. But Mark has said the same thing, because he talks about all of his time playing, because where he played up in the Upper Peninsula, it's very low populated. And so they would have to drive hours to go play ball. And he played football and basketball and did track. And so he was on a school bus all the time. He said some of the best times of his life, and talk about, I guess they even went down across the Mackinac Bridge sometime on a bus.
Well, they would have
Yeah.
to, but the UP in Michigan, they have two state champions. So they have a regular Michigan, and then they have a UP. Ask him about that, because I lived in Michigan for a little
Okay.
bit. Yeah, I do believe that, because you have the mitt, and then you have
And then you have the top.
the UPA.
Okay.
it's-
Hey, y'all, say y'all to the UP.
yeah.
Because now their football team, they were state champions 2 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was for the UP or if it was all the entire state.
When I was in
football.
Michigan as a youth pastor, the local high school that we that fed our church, they didn't lose a game, and they went to the state championship there. They played inside the Lions Stadium. I don't remember any UP teams being there, but they could have been eliminated already. But I'm not sure. I think that they have two separate state championships because of
Because I didn't
travel.
know. I have never heard that. So that's interesting. Okay.
So
Oh, okay, Mark, we got questions for you now.
that's a lot of travel.
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, yeah.
So-
Not in basketball nor football. Not in basketball or football. What, Mark? Answer the question. Do you have the state championship? Is it all Lower Michigan and Upper Michigan, or is it just the UP? He's, like I said, he'll square us away here in just a minute. So he'll square us away. Let me go ahead and do a break. I'll do my last commercial, and we'll come back and we'll answer that question. But we're talking to Jamie Nixon from Nixon Pro Media, and I want him to come back and talk about Nixon Pro Media. I did get to go and see them over at Corbin on Saturday, and I was so excited because I got to be there for the Full Bloom Festival. And yes, I picked up some more mully grass. That's the grass that turns pink and looks like cotton candy that Lacey Buse got me on. And I'm still trying to find a good place for it in my yard. I'm going to probably be moving mine. Really hoping all of mine survived the polar vortex that came through. And that's a thing. We've talked about this for a little while. I have English ivy everywhere, and I absolutely love it. And it looks awful right now. It's just vines. It looks like it's got life at the biggest part of the stalk. Some of it's dead. There's just no. I'm going to have to do some pruning. Same thing. If you look at some of the evergreen shrubbery and stuff, it looks pitiful. I saw where somebody just cut all theirs down. You got to give it a minute, guys. I wouldn't start pruning on this stuff until well into May to see what it's going to do. You probably going to. We're going to have to prune it. There's no getting around it because there's some dead stuff there. But at the core, it's still alive. It just really got a big old zap during that polar vortex. And Amy says, just let's see what the growing season is going to do. Give it a minute. So, but anyway, we were out there for Full Bloom Festival. Got to check in with Grain and Honey. Bought some stuff from them. Oh my goodness, their blueberry muffins, just the best ever. But anyway, get out there and see them. The next date is coming up. This is going to be Customer Appreciation Day. We want to make sure that you're going to be on tap for that. The Customer Appreciation Day is coming up in conjunction with Mother's Day, because they always have it all set up so you can come out and have the the planning table and all those things for the kids to make something cool for mom. And that's May 13th. And that's at 9 a.m. So they're going to have free hot dogs and all kinds of wonderful things going on. But this is Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. They had a nice sign up that said, "Don't forget, come inside the gift shop." Go inside the gift shop. They've got handmade things from Miss Jane. They've got, of course, all their CBD products that I rely on. Just great folks over at Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. They're at 4920 Highway 161. You can call them at 615-384-3185, 615-384-3185. Tell them U-Turn sent you. And thank them for sponsoring One Street Over. Okay, Mr. Nixon, what did my husband say? I lost track.
He said in the whole state. So I got on there. I looked up the MHSAA. And if you're tuning in, you're like, why are they talking Michigan?
It's because my husband's a Youper.
Yeah. So, and the first thing that popped up was the girl state champions. So they have 4 divisions, and it appears that it is the entire state. So he is correct. So I was wrong there. Yeah. So Rockford Division 1, Lansing Catholic Division 2, Hemlock Division 3, and Division 4 was Maple City Glen Lake girl state champions. So I just want to read.
There you go.
See if Mark knows any of those schools.
Yeah. They got to play somewhere really cool too, and I forget exactly what stadium. Maybe it was I don't know. He talks about it. The reason all this comes up, I've been cleaning out the clutter, and I came across his Letterman coat from high school, and it's pretty cool. It's got a lot of stuff on it. And so, it's just, I told him, I said, we need to let the kids see this. Because, I mean, he's kind of talked about it. But, I'm going to fix him like some kind of man cave and maybe put it on display. Because, there's a lot of stuff on that thing. Yeah. So, it's just kind of cool. But,
my siblings used to make fun of my mom because my mom kept all of my stuff, and my siblings called it the shrine. And so when my mom passed away, my brother was like, "Hey, you can have all your shrine stuff." Yeah. And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do with all this."
That's just it. Well, you don't know what to do with it.
You don't.
I don't, because I don't have any. I mean, I played basketball, but I was just okay. They played in the Silver Dome. He's saying they played in the Silver Dome.
That was before. Okay. That was probably before. Ford, is it Ford? It's Ford Field where the Lions play now. Yeah, I think they used to play in the Silver Dome. The Silver Dome, huge.
Yeah, he spelled it Silver Dime, but I knew what you meant, honey. I knew what you meant.
So
anyway,
let's wrap all this back.
Yeah, let's wrap all this back up. We were talking about all things. Let's
I'll bring you back to something cool. Robertson County.
Okay.
My hat is off to East Robertson offensive coordinator Hayden Alexander. He's bringing track and field back to East Robertson. And I would too, if you had some thoroughbreds like, Elijah Groves, Isaiah Groves, Zakiah Groves. I believe I'm saying his name right. So you got 3 Groves boys, and then Z Prince, who was, came in second for Mr. Football. They're definitely doing the track events, and they're also, unofficially, they have ran some low 40s time in the 400 meters. And what's really neat is in 92, who David Woodard was Mr. Basketball in 93. But in 92, I believe, David was the state champion in the 100 meters. He was state runner-up in the 200 meters. And in the 100 meters, he ran an 11.01, almost 11 flat. They would have won the state in the 400 relay. However, the exchange between Terry Allen Groves and James Cook, they dropped the baton. And so their time was 6th. However, even if they'd have picked up the baton and won, they'd have been disqualified for dropping the baton. But what was crazy is, though, even though they dropped the baton, they were only 2 seconds off of who actually won.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, they were way ahead.
Oh, wow.
And dropping the baton, let everybody catch up. So it's pretty neat because Coach Alexander, whatever time that was, has told the kids the time and said it was the best time ever. Well, you have some older people go, whoa, wait a second. If you're going off the time, the only recorded time, because that is in the state tournament, but they dropped the baton. So I love to see that kind of thing where people say, well, the county, a lot of the schools have not done a great job of keeping records. And some people say, well, that's good because it doesn't really matter. It's like, but then it allows that older generation to argue their point, and it's great because the legends grow, as here's the truth. But by the time we tell this story, it's got to be this, this folklore. And I think that's awesome. But sometimes, the people of this generation, you need to know where things come from. And it is nice to think, hey, we are a team that is as good as the teams that were successful in the past. So I just want to say hats off to Coach Alexander. He's doing a great job out there along with Coach Brooks and the whole football staff, but they're bringing track back. And, that's what you want. You want your football players running track if they're not playing baseball or anything else. So you keep them in shape, keep them ready.
I had that conversation with one of my students that's doing the exact thing up in Greenbrier, and cannot say enough about it. So I'm thrilled to hear that they're bringing it back on. So good stuff. If you've got anything to add to our little plethora of conversation here, and we went all over the place, but I love it. When you told me, I messaged him late last night. I said, I forgot to confirm you for tomorrow. He goes, yep, just me. And I thought, we'll go all over the place. I knew then because something you mentioned. As if you were listening to us, I didn't realize you could hear our conversation. I was teasing him. I was like, so you're going to apply for that athletics director position? I said, I think I saw your eyes light up. I think you'd be an awesome one. And you were like, well, I'm not qualified. But then you said you have a teaching. You have a degree with?
I have a degree. So I have my undergrad degree, but I also have a master's in Christian education. I graduated from the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary up in Louisville.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. You have a master's in, that's awesome. And so because I know that I love deep theological study. I've discovered this one guy, oh my goodness, he has 6 hours of video right now on head covering, on the head covering passage. You're like, what does that mean? Yeah. And he's analyzing it and he's digging deep and he's so good. And I don't there's some things I'm like, okay, I don't know that I agree with you, but I really love the time he's putting into it. But I love this stuff. But he did truly 6 hours on head covering. So really quick. It's fabulous. Go ahead.
Sunday morning, I lead a high school small group. And our church meets at East Robertson High School. So we're sitting in the library.
Very cool.
It's pretty cool that, for one day of the week, our school is house of God, So I'm trying to tell these, and it's boys. I've got boys. And we're trying to drive home the fact that the Bible is the inerrant word of God. Yeah. But I know, just like there's stories where, inside the Gospels that there's a little bit of differences between their stories, right? Where did Jesus feed 5,000 or did he feed 3,000? And it's like, well, Matthew was a tax collector and he said 3,000 because he's only worried about head of household. Yeah. And so, but you got different, and I tried to explain to them, I said, they're all right. And I looked at them and they're like, but how? I was like, all right, NFL replay. I said, they go back and look at 6 different cameras. 6 different angles show you almost 6 different things. So when you have people writing this stuff, and I'm sitting there talking to them, I was like, which gospel do you think was written first? And they're like, I don't know. Like, I never heard anybody talk about it. And I was like, well, it's led to believe and pretty much dated that Mark. I said, Mark, because why? The first telltale sign is because it's the shortest gospel. Mark got done with his paper and said, hey, I'm turning it it's supposed to be a 1,000-word essay. I did a 1,000-word essay. I didn't do 1,500. And then I said, and then just like us friends, when we tell stories about something that happened, how many times do you look at your friend and go, but you're leaving out the best part? And so basically they read Mark's and they're like, but Mark, you forgot this and you forgot that, and so just things that you pick up along the way. Some of the best things I learned in seminary wasn't necessarily those things where you stand up on a soapbox and try to hammer home the people. Some of the best things I learned was being around people that love people. Yeah. And, and I'll never forget one of my hermeneutics professor, he said, if you could sum up the Bible in one word, what would it be? And people said love and Christ and, salvation and stuff like that. And I remember raising my hand and I said, obedience. Ooh. I said, there's not one single story in the Bible that doesn't come down to someone obeying or disobeying. And at the end of the day, that's what God wants us to do, is to follow him. I like that. And we can take that to our schools. We can take that to our teams. We can take that. If you are in accord with your coach, with your team, your strategy, parents, if you're in accord with the program and you're not trying to, swim upriver, then it's going to be a lot more harmonious.
I love it. I just can't say it any outstanding. Good job, brother. Good job. Obedience. I love that. And we'll just close on that. We're just a minute over. And I'll tell you, thank you. Thank you. Jamie Nixon will be back on Thursday morning to talk Robertson County sports, and I hope you will be a part of it. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a wonderful day.
I will feast at the table of